Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today, we are doing the last chapter, chapter 111 of The Captain's Heart. You told Bob to drag me off the ship, didn't you? Jeremy asked as soon as the call connected. I didn't tell him to drag you, his friend countered. He chuckled. Really? Semantics? I was worried you'd spend our stay here on the ship. Considering what happened when I ventured off, can you blame me? No, but that doesn't mean I will indulge you. What are you, my dad? I think that would complicate things. Jeremy laughed. Anyway, thanks. I don't know how he managed it, but under a day, Bob got familiar with a lot of the station and he gave me a tour. A lot of nice, out of the way places for food and other items that aren't in high demand. Got to try some goop of some sort of goop the Ridoshi make. You ate Ridoshi food? His friend asked in dismay. Have you tried it? It's, he seemed to have trouble finding the words, Ridoshi food. And it's safe, not particularly interesting, but it was nice to try something completely different. You are braver than I, says the hunter. Says the hunter who will happily eat Kelsirian food for the rest of his life. Spicy Kelsirian food, Jeremy added. Remember the look on the others that first time he tried some of his friend's sauce. Spices, I know, come from plants found on Kelsir, or their printed equivalent. You should try Quercitaran dishes. They are mostly meat eaters like you. Have you tried that too? Told you Bob found a lot of out-of-way places. How was your trip there? He mentioned you escorted him to the facilitator. I wanted to make sure there wouldn't be any problem with one of them being biased against Earthers. Have we been around long enough for anyone to be biased against them? I mean, other than me, you, and the crew? It's impossible to know what some will feel about new species, even when they are trained to welcome everyone. But that wasn't a problem. They hit it off rather well. She might be where he learned a lot of this about the station. I don't think he was able to answer any of her question without asking one of his own, and she clearly didn't mind. Yeah, Bob is definitely the friendly kind. But my time there, once I left them alone, was good. I met a friend, we ate, talked. Did our own visiting of the station, although his knowledge of it is more upscale than what Bob showed you. The Rayosef have an exhibit on the first meeting. It was interesting, more to his interest than mine, although learning the first two species of the Federation to encounter each other with the Rayosef and the Saladins was a surprise. Saladins is the species of the one who welcomed us last time, right? Seemed kind of fidgety when things didn't go well. Yes, which is why I was surprised they were the first one for one of the first species. They tend to run at the first sign of trouble if they aren't duty bound to their work. I don't know enough about them to have an opinion. One isn't enough of a sample size, and those I saw while visiting with Bob didn't act in any noticeably different ways. Different ways from everyone else on the station. The door chimed. I've got someone at the door. I'll talk with you later. The door opened to a long-furred Kelsirian with bright green eyes. He had a moment of wondering who the mottled brown, black fur and white-furred guy was. Then he knew and couldn't believe he hadn't immediately recognized him. Ambassador! Jeremy hugged him. Hello, Jeremy. And it's only Queric now. He motioned to his friend. Did you lose your job? He motioned his friend inside. Did you lose your job? No. I set it aside to return home to my family. It's been too long since I was with people I cared for deeply. Jeremy nodded, attentive to anything from the programming and the ache he felt. It didn't manifest. How about you, Jeremy? How have you been? I wish I'd been here to help you through what was done to you. Thanks, but I don't know what you could have added. Leah was there, as was everyone else. She's a psychologist, he added at Queric's tilted ear. It took a long time, but I'm mostly okay. Do you want to try something? Of course. What do you mean by mostly okay? I'm able to function, even talk with him, but having to always be on guard for the programming they tortured in my head gets tiresome. Can't wait for the day I can just not think about it and not have to worry it's going to send me spiraling down again. He pulled the pie out of the cooler. When is the last time you had an episode? A while now. He carefully cut, then took the slice out. But I'm always vigilant. He smiled as the insides remained solid. The Hiridoshi power he'd added had caused it to firm up nicely. That had been Bob's excuse to get him to leave the ship. A possible way to fix the problem he'd still had with the filling. He cut it in. He cut it into again. And he cut it again. Handing Queric the smaller of the portion, along with the fork. That's a fork. I lived on Einstein for 7 years. I acquainted myself with Earther's utensils. He took a small bite and immediately made a face. Oh, that is unpleasantly sweet. Jeremy chuckled. That's the most polite way I've heard it said. What about the texture? Thought it was too firm, which hopefully could be adjusted through ratios. It is uncomfortable. It lacks the resistance of biting into meat, but it's too solid to be crushed the way the paste will. Is this an Earther dish? A Kelsirian variation of one, since I can't get strawberries, and Bob's recipes got dessert corrupted out of it. He was the Earther living on the derelict. How was it having another Earther on the ship? Jeremy enjoyed more of his slice. Not as bad as I expected. He's a little odd from what was done to him and living alone for 2 decades, but I was scared the programming would latch onto anyone human, and I don't know. Looking back, I know it couldn't make me do anything. Freaking out is about the extent of what it does, but I had this irrational fear there would be some hidden command that would make me actively plan an escape when I saw him. And now that he has left? What do you mean? You are alone again. He chuckled. I'm never that. I have my friends as well as him, and like I said, we talk. And that's enough? No one here is of your species. I don't think I have any human friends. Well, I have one now, but Bob isn't here anymore. It doesn't matter that you have fur and I don't. I feel at home here. Queric nodded, then placed the untouched plate on the counter. Would you indulge me? Jeremy looked at his friend suspiciously. It depends with what. I would like you to show me your favorite places on the ship. His protest was cut by a memory, then he laughed. It's going to be a short trip. My drafting station is in a room over there. I doubt that is your favorite place. You have said you don't isolate yourself here the way you did on Einstein. Jeremy considered the question while finishing his slice, as well as what Queric hadn't touched. Okay, I can think of a few. How long do you have? However long you feel this will take. I am no longer employed. I don't work today, so... He smiled, knowing where to start. Jeremy raised his face to the light and heat above him, his toes sinking in the sand. I didn't expect this to be among them, Queric said. You have grown much more comfortable with our nudity than I thought. He looked around at the other people. Took a while, and there have been a few uncomfortable situations with me being exotic, but my friends were there and made sure nothing happened. No one's done anything like that in months now, and I love how warm this place is, and swimming. I didn't realize how I missed that until I got to just dive until I reached the bottom. Caused quite a stir, I heard. I didn't realize how quickly you get exerted. You get exerted until then. Exerted? That doesn't feel right. Exert. Yeah, that's not the right word. Exhausted? Quickly you get exhausted until then. How about... Jeremy became hyper-vigilant for the programming, but his friend didn't continue. How about we go for a swim? Then you can show me a place you prefer to this one. Jeremy motioned to engineering and received a roll of the eyes from his friend. If anyone else had taken me to where they work and claimed it as one of their favorite places, I would have sent them for counseling. I'm honored you don't, then. I am surprised. Doesn't working as a technician remind you of what you can't do anymore? It was hard adjusting, but once I did, I realized something one of my teachers kept telling us. There are no small jobs. Everything matters. I'd forgotten that in my years of building new designs, of being the one in charge. Every little job matters. There's a pleasure in accomplishing them. He glanced at the high office window where he made out the form walking past it. And the engineer's been giving me annoyingly complex tasks recently with hardly any information on what I'm expected to do other than fix it. He grinned. Don't tell him that, but I kind of love it when he does that. Craig chuckled. Where to next? Why do you think there's another place? Because I know you, Jeremy. Jeremy Bradshaw, the woman exclaimed as he and Craig entered the shop. I did not expect you to come by. Neil Lackassar, it's good to see you again. This is Craig Ral. He asked me to show him my favorite places on the ship, so your shop had to be included. You honor me. She faced Craig. How may I address you? I am Craig Ral, Ormo de Ramitar. It is a pleasure to meet someone Jeremy thinks so highly of. She chuckled. It's my hands he thinks well of. He quite enjoys my massages. I am. Neil Lackassar sell for this here are. Aside. I am going to have to figure out how this word reforms to be one of the gods. I thought I had it because sell is exclusively used to indicate someone's namesake, which will be one of the gods. So it means I need to come up with a new god and their job. I will have to make an appointment and enjoy your skill myself then. He looked at Jeremy. Where to next? You know, if you have a destination in mind, it's going to be faster if you just tell me where to go. How would I know the places you prefer? I simply know there is another. Jeremy considered. He couldn't think of one. The only place that came to him only did so because of what was there. And this is so you can exercise. Craig asked, looking at the machine over. Resistance exercises. It works better for me than just fighting. Exercising. Craig said in a tone that implied there was a difference. Scarif also uses it, but we haven't talked about how well it's working for him, though endurance has to make it harder. Queric sat on the bench, then leaned back, reaching for the bar. I wonder if Olia would like something like this, he mused. Who's that? One of my mates. Olia Diro Natif, Grisel Perifes. Jeremy smiled at the wistfulness in the tone. You miss them a lot, don't you? Very much. We all speak daily, but it isn't the same as being with them, touching them and them touching me, smelling them. Why did you leave then? I mean, there had to be work you could do that would keep you close to them. I was young. Diplomatic work seemed like such a calling, to help enemies become friends. And I was skilled at it, so I gained rank. I gained rank. I was made an ambassador, and those duties required I be in space. I returned regularly until I replaced the ambassador on Einstein to continue the work of shepherding Earthers within the Federation. Then trouble at home meant it was wiser for me not to return. He smiled, but I am heading back to remain, to be Kelsirian to my mates, children, and father to my own, and enjoy them all, and enjoy all their company. He sat, then stood, looked at Jeremy expectantly. I don't know. The smile was kind, but knowing. You do. No, He swallowed and looked towards where he might be. He caught himself seeing him and nearly panicked, getting ready for an attack. It hurt to be so close and not able to go to him. Why not? His friend asked, and Jeremy stared. I didn't say. He'd forgotten Queric was a mentalist. He looked towards him and readied himself for an attack that didn't come. He cautiously brought his image to bear, and it was harder than it should be. He'd had to train himself not to see him, not to think of him as anyone other than him. To think of him as who he was, what he meant, was inviting the program to unleash itself. Only it wasn't. He hurried out of the leisure alley, hurried toward his heart. The quarters were close. It was why he'd put this machine there. And then he was before the door, hands trembling, out of breath. scared and hopeful. He tapped the panel by the door, and within seconds it opened. He looked up into surprised golden eyes, and his breath caught. He'd forgotten how deep they were. Chair? He wrapped his arms around Gralgiran and tightened them. He buried his nose in his chest and breathed in, the ache in his heart easing at the smell as the smell filled his nose. Where? Gralgiran asked, sounding uncertain, and Jeremy tightened his arm more, letting his heart know, without a doubt, he was there. He was where... I belong here, Jeremy said, looking up at his heart. I don't need anyone to tell me that anymore. The worry melted off Gralgiran's face, replaced with wonder. He smiled. Welcome back. Welcome back. Back. Welcome back, my little warrior. And that concludes The Captain's Heart. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next book will start, don't have a title for it at this time. So it's only going to be Jeremy Book 2. I want to do a play on Engineer, but I haven't thought of anything yet. Hopefully once I read the outline, I'll get something. At least something I can use as a working title until I have something definite. But yeah. If you want to read this story, it is up on Ream Story. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.